We're cruising with Renewable Fuels on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Alex Makovica. Blake Johnson joins us now. He serves as the District 8 Director on the Nebraska Soybean Board and farms in the Holdrege area. Blake, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, we are celebrating Renewable Fuels Month here in Nebraska, and you and I were chatting before we came on air, Blake. Obviously, some concern in demand with growing soybeans here, but crush capacity is rapidly growing here in Nebraska. What can you share with producers when you think about that picture?
Well, the outlook for growing soybeans in the last 6 months, I've heard a lot of concern from local producers, about growing soybeans, but we cannot lose sight of the exciting times that we have going on here in Nebraska. Once the David City plant gets on in July, Nebraska's crush capacity is going to be roughly 234 million bushels of soybeans. And we usually only annually grow 328 million bushels of soybeans. So we're going to be able to crush over 70% of our crop here in Nebraska, the demand that we have created locally. It's just we need to, as producers, embrace the use of the biofuels. As we've created this extra crush capacity, hopefully we can create some more demand for that biofuels. We started using biodiesel in our operation 3 years ago and have had a very positive experience with using it. We're using B20 in all of our semis and tractors, burning B50 in our irrigation motors that do not have emissions on them. And over the last 3 years, we've been able to buy that fuel anywhere from 5 to 15 cents a gallon cheaper than regular diesel.
Blake, as you think about your operation 3 years ago, what was the light bulb when you were like, you know what, I'm going to switch? What happened?
Well, and until I got on the soybean board, I really wasn't following it. But I mean, once I got on the board and I was involved in some of those meetings and some of the positive impacts, it didn't take me long to figure out, ask myself the question why we were not using it. And once we made the switch, it was very good. The Nebraska Soybean Board contracts with MegCorp. It's a company out of Minnesota, and they do a lot of our technical work. So if a farmer would switch to biodiesel and have any issues at all, we have the backstop to help producers solve any problems that they might have. And in our 3 years, we have not had an issue, and it's been a very positive experience.
I think it's safe to say when you make a switch on an operation, it's a big decision, and there's certainly some hesitation that comes with that. What are the biggest hesitations among farmers in making that switch, Blake?
Well, several years ago when biodiesel was in its infancy, I think there was not the standards of quality set for the fuel. And I think that maybe some producers tried it and possibly had some issues that scared them away. But now with all the new standards that are set with quality, I just don't see that happening at all. And we as farmers, if we embrace the use of biofuels, we could be the second largest user of biofuels behind the trucking industry. So why not support what we're growing?
Absolutely. Blake, is there anything we missed that's important to mention?
Well, so when we made the switch, we were lucky that our fuel supplier was already on board to promote and use biofuels. I just encourage every producer when they pick up the phone to call their fuel supplier, ask them about B20. We want to get every supplier on board, but if that supplier does not get on board, there are plenty of suppliers in Nebraska that are helping us promote the biofuels, and so that's encouraging. You just need to find the right one.
Blake, there's also there are a lot of benefits to switching to biodiesel on operations, but there is a biodiesel credit program through the Nebraska Soybean Board. What's important for producers to know about that program?
It's just important to know that it's there. If you do incorporate the biofuels into your operation, we'll pay up to 25 cents a gallon for B2, 50 cents a gallon for B5, up to $500 per year. So producers just need to realize it's not a one-time program, that they can do that every year when they're using the product.
Excellent. Again, Blake Johnson of Holdrege. He serves on the Nebraska Soybean Board. That's this week's Cruisin' with Renewable Fuels on the Rural Radio Network.